Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all.
Best Disney villain sidekick.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
There it is.
Ooh, people of the world, I don't know if you realized that was not Hal.
Oh, yeah. You
Right
can tell.
there.
Something seemed a little bit sharper, didn't it? A little bit richer.
That was the voice dandy of Hollywood and our dear friend, Darin DePaul. Thanks for coming on the show, my man.
It is my pleasure. This show has been such a bright light during this time of distance that I'm so thrilled to be here. My wife and I, of course, are devoted listeners. And I was like, when you said I could be on again, I was like, yay.
Oh my God. It's so nice to have you back. Even in these distanced times, we appreciate that you full on have the suit on for a distanced recording. You have the best style of anyone I know.
Yeah.
And you're a heck of a class act. And we're here today to talk about Disney villain sidekicks. So give us your bona fides, Darin, on this. Are you a Disney fan? I know we all played trivia last night and you kind of chose Disney questions most of the time and won, by the way.
Yeah.
Through my wife. I'm a huge Disney fan. I think it's part of why I became a voiceover actor, loving those films early on. Jungle Book really just got me. The first time I went, oh, there are actors doing that, and followed performers.
Yeah.
I actually play a Disney villain in the Disney Channel show Amphibia. I'm the voice of Bog, which was a thrill to get. He's really
an actual Disney
show.
villain.
Yeah.
Talking about Disney villains.
Yeah, he's a toad and he's so pretty evil, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I get to be part of that. And in high school, I was a Disney character because I lived in Florida. So at Disney World, I was, one of the walk around characters. And then afterwards, I think in the early 90s, I worked at the Adventurers Club on Pleasure Island.
I love the Adventurers Club so much. Did we talk about this last time?
I don't think we've covered that.
I'm such a the Adventurers Club was just like, do you know about the Adventurers Club, Hal?
I'm waiting to hear. I never went. All right. We've discussed that I've never been to. I've only been to Epcot twice. And I've been to it's not Downtown Disney in Florida. It's whatever it's called there. Uncle Walt's Fun
It's
Street.
Disney Springs now, I believe.
Thank you. Disney Springs.
That used to be Pleasure Island, and it was magical. It was
I loved it.
Place.
I've known a lot of people who perform there, which of course you are one of them now that I know this information about you, Darin. But it sounded like a fun place to go when it existed in its heyday.
Oh, the Adventurers Club was brilliant. I mean, there were 5 male roles, but 8 actors. So we changed all the time. So you'd learn facility of character and voice and working with the crowd. And the ladies were brilliant. There were 3 female roles and 7 of them. Paula Pell, writer and performer, was there my years.
Wow.
Leslie Carrara from Muppets, my dear friend Leslie Carrara was there. And just a strong, strong team of performers that improvised, did scripts, worked animatronics and puppets. And it was thrilling.
The vibe of that place is so cool because it's modeled after, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's sort of Victorian era pith helmets and elephant guns, British colonization era of travel. To put it in a less Disney light, but it's just the aesthetic of that place was so cool. I always loved the Adventurers Club. It's just a fun, and you guys were so great with the improvising and the moments, and you just kind of find it's that nonlinear story and finding little pockets of who these characters are to one another that I think
we had a story every night. The very first one, they would pull something out of a hat to go, this is our theme for the night.
Mm-hmm.
The very first word was sausage. So we called it from then on the Daily Sausage. So people would put it in and it would be, okay, this, it could be Emil Bleehol's birthday or, new hat. And you'd play it all night long. You'd go from 7 till 1 in the morning with breaks. I never took my breaks because, the guests were entering the movie.
Mm-hmm.
We were living these characters and I went, this is thrilling.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You never took, but seriously, man, an 8-hour show a day. Take your break. Come on.
I couldn't. I was young. Then. Now it'd be like, you do it. I'm sitting down.
It's like, I'd at least take the lunch.
But you could in character, because Pleasure Island was New Year's every night. So
I love that about it.
Yeah, the dancers were going, Weird Al would be doing a show, and in character, you could stand outside, watch the show, talk to guests, but watch a whole Weird Al set. That was part of, if as long as you made it back for your set show. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why sit down when I can experience everything that Disney has to offer? I loved it. I was
brilliant. Yeah. That's not the version of Disney we're talking about today.
No.
Today, we're talking about Disney villain sidekicks. We've done a lot of Disney episodes on this show. This topic, where did this topic come to us from, Hal?
This is from Chris Rooney. But also, Darin, you had this in mind. And also, you are part of one of our most contentious decisions ever.
I know.
Which is great. That's why it's exciting to have you back.
Yeah.
Because Muffin's obviously hot button topic for people of the world and around the world. And now...
I maintain it. I stand by it. Mm-hmm. I stand by it. The Bran Muffin's a classic. I stand by it.
All of you who are against the Bran Muffin, I'm sorry you're wrong. I know that's difficult. I've been wrong before. It was not when I was doing this podcast. It was
about pretzels. That's when he was wrong.
How dare you? How dare you? I will reach through the screen. I will find a way. Lord, give me the strength. Lord, I want to talk to you right now. I need strength to not reach through this computer like the lawnmower man.
Hold on, Hal. I'm eating a pretzel-shaped pretzel.
Why have you forsaken me, Lord? But we're moving from a very controversial topic, which is muffins, to something that people have fewer opinions about, which is Disney. And we're going to jump in to not, like, everybody knows playing the villain is the most fun. I'd love to play villains.
Yeah.
And then playing villain sidekicks, even more fun. Because you don't have the pressure of carrying things like the villain does. You just get to come in and either support, you're either one of the funniest characters, one of the most able characters, or one of the truly sinister characters. And we're going to go through a collection of those in different categories that you've laid out, Mark.
Yeah, we've decided that we haven't done brackets in a while. So brackets would be a fun way to deal with this. So we've divided it up into 4 categories. The Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, and Southwest quadrants of the bracket are in clockwise order from the Northwest: lieutenants, scales and tails, lackeys, and cats and dogs. Now, before we get started on these, what do we think makes a great villain sidekick? Because there are different types. There are fundamentally good, fundamentally neutral, and fundamentally evil villain sidekicks. There are idiots. There are competent sidekicks. There are funny ones. There are sinister ones. What do we think makes a great sidekick?
Well, because I knew you would ask this, and I was wondering what, specifics we were looking at. Is it, do they have a great song? Very few do, but a great song makes them memorable. Are they good at their job?
Yeah.
Do they support their boss? Do they hinder their boss? Is it just that it makes your heart happy when you think of them? Because a lot of the sidekicks do that. And I think the brackets will break that down, because what I love about Disney movies is they're always looking to make the sidekick different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, early on, you might find that they're all kind of a cookie cutter in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But as we get on there, it's like, how do we make this one unique? What do we find in the heart of this character? And I love that.
It's also interesting that some of these sidekicks, if you took them away from their villain and just analyzed who they were, they're not villainous at all. They're super loyal. One of the characters that I would put near the top, if we were not doing a bracket, is one that I think falls in that category, where he's not inherently evil, but he's a great sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
And he helps facilitate not only keeping his boss alive, but helping him do evil stuff. Then there are others who are very well known and are part of a great song, but I don't think pass the muster, because at the end of the day, they're not of great consequence to the plot of the movie. And I think you want the sidekick. I think another thing to look at is, does the sidekick have some significant effect in one way or another on the plot of the movie where they feel essential?
Usually it feels like that winds up being the sidekicks that are maybe neutral, not evil or good, but loyal and neutral, whose loyalty in the end is upended. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that seem to turn the plot more often in my estimation.
Because there's some scary ones. There's some flat out, they went, and you're going, I don't know if any of those will make the list, but I'm interested to see, what's going into the finals.
There's also a subcategory of this, and there aren't many that fit this category, but there are some where they're almost mini bosses. If you look at it like a video game and your main villain is your Bowser, King Koopa, or whatever, but then you have these mini villains that you face along the way. So they are sidekicks in that they are second in command or just lower level, but they also work as their own villain. There are a couple including one that will be in this first bracket. Mark, you want to break down that bracket for us?
Let's break down the bracket.
One more thing before we break a bracket. Isn't it because we are all voiceover performers? Isn't it the performance as well?
I think that's a big part of it. Yeah.
That's a huge
Absolutely.
Okay, Mark, break those brackets.
All right. We're going to start in the Northwest bracket with lieutenants. These are all humans who are a second in command or, second in status, not necessarily command, because there are a couple on here that are not necessarily military or otherwise. And here is the breakdown of this bracket. From Snow White, we have the Huntsman versus, from Robin Hood, the Sheriff of Nottingham. We also have from Pocahontas, Wiggins versus, from The Rescuers, Mr. Snoops. We have from The Incredibles, Mirage versus, from The Emperor's New Groove, Kronk. And finally, family edition, we have the Tremaine sisters from Cinderella versus Edgar from the Aristocats. Which matchup would you like to start with, gentlemen?
What are you thinking?
Darin, you're the guest. Dive in.
Let's go to the Huntsman and the Sheriff of Nottingham. Since the Huntsman is one of the first sidekicks in the Pantheon.
Yeah. The first of the feature-length films. I also thought it was funny that in trying to match these up, I saw that the primary photo that we have or drawing we have of the Huntsman is identical. They're standing in the exact same pose, the Sheriff of Nottingham and the Huntsman. This one to me this one feels like kind of a no-brainer though. I shouldn't say that because maybe I'm way off, but the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Are you calling me that I have no brain there, Mark Gagliardi?
And you nailed it on the head, my friend. The Sheriff of Nottingham is one of the great Disney seconds. Yeah. The Huntsman, I don't even remember what he sounds like. I know that
Hi, I'm the Huntsman. Hi, it's Snow White. What are you doing out here?
What did you call him? Thumbs on horses? He's like the OG thumb on a horse.
I have another thumb. I'm a bad thumb. The good thumb's coming for you. Time to go sleepy. Oops, shouldn't have said that. Bye.
My God. But yeah, the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood is such and why he has a southern accent in the middle of Nottingham. And when he goes to the home of the poor and he just relishes in taking the last of their coins. Mm-hmm. Like he walks silly. He looks like, he's kind of this big, what kind of animal is he? Is he also a bear?
No, I think he's a wolf.
Wolverine.
Is he a wolf?
A wolf. Yeah. He's about to be a wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's shaped like Baloo. He's like half wolf, half Baloo.
That film, when it came out, because I remember seeing it young, and it was such a departure for Disney because it was a flat out comedy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I mean, Peter Ustinov as, the prince was just an early influence.
Oh, he's so
stop hissing in my ear. Oh, and you're like, oh,
that laugh is so great. Too.
Yeah. Oh, and that he's teamed up with, Nutsy, you go and fire an arrow. We'll see who's going to win this competition.
Oh, it's fantastic. And he's also one of those, Nottingham is one of those mini bosses where he is, not only is he clearly a lieutenant, but he also works as his own villain. He's the real arch rival as opposed to the puppet master in Robin Hood.
He's the muscle in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
All right. So that was easy. The Sheriff of Nottingham. Let's move on to Wiggins from Pocahontas versus Snoops from The Rescuers. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Wiggins gets extra points because the villain in Pocahontas, voiced by David Ogden Stiers.
Yeah.
Wiggins, voiced by David Ogden Stiers.
And they have conversations with one another in the movie, which is impressive.
but not a memorable sidekick.
Yeah.
Just really, like, he doesn't have a mean bone in his body.
No.
That's what's kind of fun about him, though, is he's the sidekick to this terrible, gold-hungry villain. And he's just this sweet kid. But also not that bright is Mr. Snoops from The Rescuers, who's just kind of like, you know what he feels like to me? He feels like the cycle of violence. Madame Medusa is just terribly mean to him, so he is just terribly mean to children. You know what I mean? He feels like the most spineless Wayne Knight character.
And Joe Flynn, who voiced him, was such a big part of the Disney stable, the live action stable, that when he did the voice, it was heaven. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So how do we use the criteria that we have to pick between these two? He's not evil. I mean, he's like, Wiggins isn't evil.
No.
Snoops isn't particularly loyal. By the end of The Rescuers, he's chasing down Madame Medusa for a shotgun.
But isn't that another hallmark of villain sidekicks, is that relationship is either ride or die or very tenuous? It's a relationship of convenience, that the greatest lieutenants of evil will try to usurp their boss at some point. It's the Sith. You kill your master, then you become the master.
That's true.
That's how you ascend the food chain of villainy.
Yeah, and Wiggins would never do that.
That's true. Wiggins is not, he's a sidekick, but this category is villain sidekick.
Villains.
Yeah, he's not a villain sidekick. He's just a lackey. But he does have one of the great lines, his last line after Radcliffe has been taken away, is he says, funny, he came so highly recommended, which I think is such a great line for a sidekick to end with. But this one I think definitely goes to Snoops. Yep. Let's go to Mirage versus Kronk. This is
a tough one.
Yeah. Patrick Warburton. Kronk.
It's a brilliant character. I mean, I would say hands down, Mirage, one of the few ladies.
Yes.
As a sidekick. A great
femme fatale, brilliant, cunning.
Yeah.
In a brilliant movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say Kronk takes it for sheer the newness of the character, the lovability of the character. He does advance the plot.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's a great performance. And what do you guys think?
I think Kronk's the only one of these that has his own sequel.
Yeah.
Like he got his own spin-off sequel. Kronk has he has a devil and an angel on his shoulder who are like sub sidekicks. He's funny.
I got to work with Craig Sobel, who was the director of The Emperor's New Groove. And just hearing how his mind, also with Chicken Little, a movie I love, and just hearing how he treats each character. It's so special. And a very different kind of voiceover director than I'm used to. He loves the why instead of a clean why. Yeah. He's like, no, people talk that way and they stutter, and add more life to it. And it made the readings that much more, they popped, they came to life. It was such a joy to work with him. His knowledge of timing. And I think you can see that in The Emperor's New Groove. And Kronk just is such a special character.
Oh, yeah. Do you prefer a group read or a solo read? Or do you do many? I know now you don't do many at all of the group reads, obviously.
I did one on Zoom for a commercial. It was a disaster. The Source Connect was dropping out for everyone at all times.
Oh, God.
But we got through it. I used to love doing it as a group, and there's still a joy to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like being alone. I think there's more focus.
Right on.
I would love to do more group reads. I did one with Andrea Romano.
Legend.
Yes. Oh, it was thrilling.
Yeah, she's the greatest.
Yeah. And with Eric Bauza was there, and DiMaggio and Lorraine Newman, for Puss in Boots. And I was just like, this team. I love this, because you get to feed off of everyone's energy and hear their timing. Mm-hmm. And Ms. Romano works so fast.
Yeah.
You were about to turn the page and she's like, let's move on. And you're like, well, I have to keep the page up in the air because it will make noise if I put it down. And they're rolling. I'm like holding my page.
Oh my God.
But it was so exciting. So that group I adored. But, being alone and focusing gets the job done quickly too.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. You're definitely in and out more in those. Like,
yeah. I guess I haven't done as many. It's like I long to do what you guys did with Thrilling Adventure Hour because it truly is an ensemble and you're working and you're playing off each other and you know each other's timing and you know each other's rhythms. But I would say a lot of these performances are solo performances on the Sidekick.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems like you always, the BTS you always see of these is, a solo person in a studio. Though I don't know if that comes from the nature of it being so many big stars doing them now,
Yeah.
It became
Patrick
that
is
way.
always in demand.
Yeah.
I remember for a Venture Brothers session, he was coming in after me, but also getting ready to go to like Canada to film something. So he was just always like, all right, I'm going to come to the entire season now. And he just would he walked in and he's
knocks out a season of television.
Super nice guy. I mean, you remember when he would do Thrilling.
Oh yeah.
That he's like the ultimate suburban dad. He's like, yeah, we got the pool cleaned up so all the kids can come over. Like he just wants to have the kids. That's like his life revolves around his family. Just a great guy, but super like busy and gets stuff done quick. And it is faster. You can do like 2-3 episodes of a show in 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you're doing it by yourself. A group record, while it's great for those dynamics, it takes longer. Sometimes you're quick, but somebody else is stumbling or playing around, and it's fun to watch. I love to see everybody's process, but also there is a lot of sitting and waiting around.
When I worked on the DreamWorks show 3 Below and Wizards, we would do like 4 or 5 episodes. Cause it's just like, here's your session. Yeah. We got to go.
Yeah.
And it was like, got it. That's that episode done. You're gone. It's thrilling. I like it because it's like, well, make a choice, make a bold choice.
Yeah.
Like all of these characters, they're bold choices in all the performances.
The best of them are.
The design, design should also be in here about how they look and go.
Kronk's a perfect example with his giant shoulders and his teeny little waist. Like he's just this, like if you designed what a meathead or, on the surface, a meathead henchman would look like in that Incan style of that movie, he would be shaped like that. So we're saying it's Kronk.
We're saying it's
right?
Kronk.
All right.
Yeah.
But moving on now.
Elizabeth Penn, you have great performance in a wonderful film.
Yes.
I had forgotten, for some reason I was placing her in Incredibles 2, just looking at the picture.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that's a whole different thing. It is a really good character. The fact that I couldn't remember it, I haven't seen The Emperor's New Groove. And I know, looking at that, I know that's Patrick Burton. I know the character is Kronk. That character
he's in the pop culture.
Yeah. And that counts for something.
I would recommend seeing it. After hearing one of your episodes, I went to see Princess and the Frog.
Oh,
Isn't it great? Well, I watched it and I was like, I love this so much.
It's great. It's the last of the flat animation, the classic Disney flat animation.
Good. It's so good.
All right. Now moving on to, this is less lieutenant-y. This is, sidekicks to the matriarch. We have sidekick to a lovely and kind matriarch in the Aristocats, and that is Edgar, who is her butler. We also have the Tremaine sisters from Cinderella, who are the two wicked stepsisters under Lady Tremaine. This is a tough one because I feel like, would you guys call Edgar a sidekick, or is he not the primary villain of it's his idea to steal the cats? It's his, like, there are other characters who are more villainy than him, but he doesn't really seem like he is a sidekick. This is what's fascinating about him to me. He is a sidekick, but the person he works for is not a villain. He is a deceitful person.
And that makes him kind of the villain.
That makes him the villain, even though he is a sidekick.
It's funny you say that because I was thinking the same thing about the Tremaine sisters. Yes, their mother is sort of the ringleader, but they're also awful villains on their own. They're just all three of them are working towards the same purpose.
Right.
And Edgar, if you look at 101 Dalmatians and then this film, he's sort of Horace and Jasper flipped on its head.
Yeah.
Like, let's make a fancy one.
Yeah.
And he's going to go through the same indignities and the same wants and desires as Horace and Jasper.
I got to say, the Aristocats has some great stuff in it, but the Aristocats does seem like they went, hey, 101 Dalmatians made a lot of money. Now do it with cats.
Yeah.
Because it's basically exactly the same.
Yeah.
Just the cat version.
And put Baloo in it.
and put Baloo in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Tremaine sisters, they're sort of quintessential Disney sidekick. Like if you think of Lady Tremaine as the villain of that story, they do feel like they are the wisecracking jerk sidekicks. Like the character version of them at Disneyland is a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
They are some great walk around face characters at Disneyland.
Would you want to get a picture with the Tremaine sisters or with Edgar?
The Tremaine sisters,
Yeah,
because
Tremaine
everyone
sisters,
would
for
look at
sure.
the picture and go, who is this butler you're taking a picture with?
Right.
I think
Wasn't
that's
he from
great
the
way.
Adventurers Club.
Yeah, right. And they have that sort of conniving, like, and their end goal is pure selfishness. Yeah, Hal, thoughts?
No, I agree. I think the Tremaine sisters are the winners in this one.
Great.
Like, for sure.
All right. So we have a final four in the Northwestern bracket. That is the Sheriff of Nottingham is going to battle Kronk. Do you want to clear out the brackets down to one each and then move on to the next bracket? Or do you want to get down to just do the first? Do you want to do a first round of 32?
I think we should just finish the bracket. Because once we started one, it's easier to.
Yeah, we might as well. So we'll work backwards then. Right now we have the Tremaine sisters versus Snoops from The Rescuers.
Tremaine sisters are more iconic.
Yeah, they are iconic Disney villains. I think that's.
Yeah.
And as much fun as the Sheriff of Nottingham is and how villainous he is, Kronk is undeniable, I think.
Now, wait a minute there, Mark Gagliardi. Are you kicking me out of my bracket?
How dare you, Mark?
It's so cold kicking you out. Oh.
Don't worry, we're going to get to hear more Peter Ustinov later because Sir Hiss shows up on this.
Oh. So have we made a decision?
So
it seems like Kronk has taken, or is it Kronk against the Tremaine sisters?
I think at this point it's Kronk against the Tremaine sisters, and I think Kronk may go all the way in this one. He is the only one who has his own movie.
Right, but beyond that, there are a lot of characters that have their own movies that would not win.
He is the absolute standout character in a arguably middling Disney movie.
It was a revelation, that performance, and there are some huge belly laughs with the character.
Yeah.
Great design, great writing, wonderful performance. Pretty iconic.
I'd say we got to give it to Kronk. Under Lieutenants. All right.
Wow. This is going to be a tough one. This is a tough battle.
Yeah. Let's move on now. If we're going in clockwise order, we are now at Scales and Tails.
Ooh.
Scales and Tails is mostly fish, lizards, birds, and bugs. So Scales and Tails, we have Brutus and Nero, the crocodiles from The Rescuers, versus Joanna, the lizard from The Rescuers Down Under. We have Flotsam and Jetsam from The Little Mermaid versus Molt from A Bug's Life. We have Sir Hiss in a snake battle. We have Sir Hiss versus Kaa. Sir Hiss from Robin Hood and Kaa from The Jungle Book. And of course, in our bird battle, Diablo versus Iago. Diablo from Sleeping Beauty and Iago, of course, from Aladdin. Let's start with our Rescuers reptiles. Thoughts, gents?
All right. I just want to throw this out there. I want to see if I'm right, because I've seen neither of these movies. But judging from the pictures, Scales and Tails look more evil, but Joanna looks like a good time.
Joanna the Goanna.
Yeah.
Because it was a riot. It was a wonderful creature performance.
Absolutely.
With a lot of, that stuff that I love doing. Yeah. And it lightened it up, because wasn't she against George C. Scott? He was the voice of the main villain in that.
Was that George C. Scott? It looked like
it looked like him. It was a very heavy, dark
McLeach.
Yeah. Dark character. And then you had, this egg-stealing, crazy Goanna.
Who is terrifying. Like, that character goes from absolutely terrifying when you first meet her, and she's just this monster, like, snapping on the, like, imagine, like, the most terrifying sharp-toothed monster snapping on the end of a leash that you really do not want to get loose.
Yeah.
But then she also has a full-on Marx Brothers scene in the middle of the movie where McLeach is trying to formulate his evil plot and keep a little box of eggs away from this iguana. And by the end of the scene, obviously the box of eggs is completely empty. And every time an egg disappears, you never see the egg disappear. You just see the lid of the box go bloop. It is I hope everyone sees this scene. because it is just an absolute, it is Harpo Marx delightful. I think hands down this one. Brutus and Nero are just big, scary looking crocodiles.
Scary creatures. Yeah.
But Joanna is hilarious.
Yes.
And terrifying.
So is Joanna winning that one?
Joanna's got to win that one. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
We're moving on now to two classics, Flotsam and Jetsam from
Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And Molt from A Bug's Life, played by Richard Kind. Fellas, what do you think?
Listen, I don't know about eels. You might like eels. I don't like eels. Some people like eels.
Exactly.
I love that performance. I think it lightens the mood. Flotsam and Jetsam are pretty iconic in a way.
That's the thing. I think Flotsam and Jetsam are iconic, but they don't really
I don't do anything.
I think Molt is a better character. He's the lead villain's brother.
Yeah.
But he has no animosity toward him. He's just real loyal and
everything's great. He loves his brother.
He loves his brother. He loves his brother. He's like, hey, I got this great idea. That's not a great idea. Yeah, it wasn't even my idea. He's just,
it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flotsam and Jetsam are like, if Ursula is running a medicine show, they're the plants in the crowd. They're like, yes, I'm going bald and I need a medicine for it. Do you have a tincture? Like that's kind of their role. They're there to kind of help seal the deal. And
do they talk? I don't remember if they even talk.
They're both played by Patty Edwards. So they sound like what I just did. Exactly. Don't look it up.
No,
we have to pick at the end of this. We have to pick who we'd want to play, who we'd want to voice.
Ooh. Oh yeah,
that would be.
I like this game too.
Interesting. So we are going with Mold, are we?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Because it's I feel like, in my opinion, Flotsam and Jetsam are iconic because The Little Mermaid is iconic and because Ursula won our best Disney villain episode. I think Flotsam and Jetsam benefit from having the best Disney villain as the person that they're working under.
The boss,
Yeah. I think Molt is a more interesting character to me.
He is, but I don't remember him doing anything. If anything, he's sort of in the way just because he's like the kind brother who's hanging out. And Richard Kind is fantastic.
I guess, Flotsam and Jetsam, they do forward the plot.
Yeah.
They're there to encourage her to give her voice up. You know, they're the hype eels.
Yeah. The hype eels. Oh, I saw them once. They were great.
Yeah. Weren't they great?
Yeah.
I don't think Molt. Also, in a case like this, I think the tie goes to the property that kind of stands out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The Little Mermaid that helped revive Disney animated films.
Yeah.
Sorry, Molt.
Sorry, Molt. You did with much, much respect.
I'll be over in a corner. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't mind me. I'm fine. I'm here. Can you still hear me? I'm over in the corner. I'm being quiet. I'm not saying a word. You enjoy your eels.
Molt, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Molt.
That's okay. I love you. What you're wearing today suits you very well.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Do you hear how silent I'm being in the corner? I haven't made a peep.
All right, let's move on now to Iago versus Diablo, Bird Battle. I mean, this is another one of those, I think, all-time great Disney performances is Gilbert Gottfried as Iago.
Yes.
I remember Diablo, but I remember Diablo more as an ornament than a character. You know what I mean? I think of Maleficent with Diablo on her shoulder, but I don't really recall anything epically villainous that Diablo did.
And with Gilbert, it's like a perfect casting.
Absolutely.
That you didn't think you needed. And then you're like, oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's that great story about the young boy that didn't speak for many years, but he loved Iago. And when Gilbert spoke to him, it meant so much. He spoke to him in the character. There's a whole documentary about
No, I've never heard of that.
He was, it's very touching. And I had worked with Gilbert back in New York on something called USA Up All Night. We were all
USA Up All Night.
Yeah. That was Rhonda was the one in LA and we were in New York with Gilbert. And it was great. We all played recurring characters. It was this crazy show and getting to know him. And we lived kind of in the same neighborhood in New York for a while. And it just, now that he's like a Disney villain, an iconic Disney villain.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, this is one of those that could go all the way.
Yeah.
It's so good. And Gilbert Gottfried, by the way, for those who don't know, his voice is iconic. His voice is iconic in and of itself, but he is a fantastic mimic. He has a bit in his stand-up that is Jerry Seinfeld and David Brenner having a conversation, which feels like it was written just for me.
When he would,
you ever notice how people are, why do people? And you're,
Jones,
you ever comb your hair? Why do people comb their hair?
That was him. His voice, his regular. I mean, I don't know if this is giving secrets away, but he's not always like this.
Yeah.
We just, they called him Giggle on set. It was the director. It was like, Giggle, are you ready? I'm okay. I'm running over in the corner. Next to Richard.
Yeah, he's a pretty mild mannered dude.
Sweetheart of a man.
Yeah.
And tying that voice to that character, it's just fabulous. Now,
well, that's a no-brainer then.
Yeah.
Iago.
The show that you did, was there an Iago substitute? I never got to see the Aladdin show.
There was. Iago in our show.
A puppet, right?
Was a puppet. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It was a performer who was wearing sort of like what you would imagine a sidekick to Jafar to look like, sort of red and black with a turban. But he had this beautiful Iago puppet. And I, being a lazy person, when I went to audition for Aladdin, I auditioned to play Iago and not the genie, because Iago did not have to put on makeup and did not have to be on stage for as long. I was the opposite of you at the Adventures Club.
I was about to say,
I want to play the character that's on stage for 40 minutes and the character that's on stage for 6. Oh, 6. Let's do that version.
You did a show and took no breaks. Mark did a show in between his breaks.
Yeah.
I'm so crazy.
I gotta go take a show right now.
There was a production, one of the last things I did in New York, there's a musical of It's a Wonderful Life, and I played Clarence.
Cool.
And we had to put it up in a week. It was really, really quick. And I'm a big fan of Cirque and everything, and I love when characters watch. And I went, on the first day, I said, hey, I know this story is being told for Clarence. Can I always be on stage watching unobtrusively for a 2.5-hour musical, except when he's acting? I will sit and give focus and energy so that when my head turns and tilts a little, that means something. I love the discipline of that. I'm a crazy person.
Wow.
You're a disciplined actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like the stage pictures, because it was a thrust stage, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool. Oh. And, I love stuff like that, because again, it gives you something like we're doing with the Disney villain, something you didn't expect. How do we not just say this is a production of It's a Wonderful Life? This is our production, instead of, this is our sidekick villain. What are we going to make him that just makes people go, wow, do you remember that? And that.
Yeah. Can I ask you though? Come on. There had to be at least one performance where you were like, man, I really have to pee. This was a terrible idea.
You learn. Well, sometimes you're sitting and you're like, I can't breathe here, because this is a very, very heavy scene.
Yeah.
And I'm giving focus and energy. Okay. Concentrate. And soon it'll be over, and you'll do your little song, because Claire's had a lovely little song and some great stuff.
Let's talk about snakes. We have Sir Hiss.
Snakes, baby.
We have Sir Hiss from Robin Hood. I told you we'd get more Peter Ustinov, and Kaa from Jungle Book. Now, Kaa, not necessarily introduced as a sidekick, but works alongside Shere Khan and is clearly of lower status than him.
Kaa's one of the dangers of the jungle.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Sir Hiss, straight up sidekick to the hilarious King John in Robin Hood, and the much put upon sidekick who could forward the plot and could help King John, but King John refuses to listen to him.
And a great performance by Terry Thomas, who had the gap in his teeth, and they put it in the snake. Is Terry Thomas would lisp a little when he spoke, because he was.
Oh, I didn't know that. That was I love that
they based it upon him. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was so wonderful when it came out. I just remember being in the theater and people just laughing so much and enjoying this film. There is a moment that I will cherish, and I can't remember. There's a young turtle in it, one of the 3 kids.
Yeah, I love them. That they get when they knock the arrow into Marion's yard.
Well, but later on when there's the competition and all the archers are introduced, and an older turtle came out, and the younger turtle, they cut to him and he goes, Yay, Dad. The audience erupted in laughter. And I remember that day forever of going, oh, it was just beautiful.
Oh, that movie is really fun.
Yeah.
Do we think that Ka counts as a sidekick?
Hal, thoughts?
I think Ka's an underboss. I love Ka.
Mm-hmm.
The Jungle Book occupies a special place in my heart, not only because I love the movie, but one of the first voice matches that I ever did was George Sanders as Shere Khan. Not for a job, just for a class. And I remember somebody from Disney Characters was there and told the teacher, like, I wish we'd known this guy was around before we hired who we had.
Oh, wow.
Not to throw shade on whoever's doing it, who I'm sure is still doing it and doing a fantastic job. But I love the character. It's Sterling Holloway, who you may know better as Winnie the Pooh.
Mm-hmm. But him doing evil is fun.
Yeah.
It was and the song is great.
He's got a great song.
And not once in the film, as an evil snake, does he go, oh, bother.
He never says it.
Right?
Yeah. Or think.
Yeah. But Ka, for so many, and a lot of Ka's animation was kind of moved into Sir Hiss.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Sir Hiss just feels like the same actor. This was his next movie that he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that snake.
Yeah.
Like they use a different voice every time, but that snake went and became Mr. Hit or Sir Hiss. But yeah, I feel like Ka is the superior character. Is he enough of a sidekick to put him through? I would argue yes, because he's such an iconic character and he has that song. But Sir Hiss is all the stuff we were talking about before. Loyal to his master. He coddles his master. He's snarky and mean to those who come into King John's tent, including Robin and Little John when they're he's the one that sees that they're trying to dupe the king. He tries to be a good minion, whereas Ka doesn't seem like he works for anybody but Ka.
Yeah.
He teams. It feels like him with Shere Khan feels more like a status mismatched team up than an actual sidekick.
Because Shere Khan does not need Ka in any way except for information.
Right.
Whereas Sir Hiss is a total flunky and, where, Prince John doesn't want to do anything, he'll have his minions do it.
Yeah, I guess it's not even really a team up. It's just Ka. Yeah. It's just Shere Khan threatening Ka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a tough one because it's a slippery one.
Yeah.
Slippery.
It's
I mean, you can say that Ka slithered so that Sir Hiss could slither. I think staying true to the idea of a sidekick, an actual sidekick, Sir Hiss fits the bill, and I don't think Ka does. I think Ka gets in trouble for Ka wasn't bringing Mowgli to Shere Khan. Ka was going to eat Mowgli as a tasty meal because it's the jungle and everybody's out for themselves.
So you're saying that snake was more of a sidekick than me?
Oh, no, I think the Sheriff of Nottingham is back. He's upset. Sheriff, can you go stand with Molt in the corner, please?
I'm not making a noise. A single noise. I was so quiet.
He's making a lot of noise. Don't listen to him.
Guys,
That's a good point. I was making noise.
We really have to get through this bracket, you two.
Okay. You go do it. We'll just be over here quietly not talking like we do in Nottingham, from England, where I am currently from.
You sound it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to visit.
I think Sir Hiss is our winner.
All right.
Of that matchup.
So now we can do these final two matches here in the Northeast.
Yes.
Let's start with, we'll go backwards again. Sir Hiss is now battling Iago, and I'm pretty sure he loses.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So we have Iago going through. We also have Flotsam and Jetsam versus Joanna. It's so hard because Flotsam and Jetsam are from such an iconic movie.
Yeah.
And we gave him a pass in the round of 32. Joanna's so fun.
But will he beat Iago?
I don't think either of them beat Iago.
To take this bracket. Yeah. Does Iago take this bracket?
I think we can just go ahead and say Iago takes this bracket.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
So we don't have to battle Joanna versus Flotsam and Jetsam. All right, let's move on to lackeys.
Ooh.
This is some humans, some demons, some goblins, some animals, maybe. No animals. But most of them are idiots. Actually, that's not true. We do have one animal who is not an idiot at all. But this is just general. This is sort of the catch-all, to be perfectly honest, of ones that did not fit any of the other three. So we have LeFou from Beauty and the Beast versus Randall from Monsters, Inc. We have Pain and Panic from Hercules versus Horace and Jasper from 101 Dalmatians. We have Smee from Peter Pan versus Fidget from The Great Mouse Detective. And we have Creeper from The Black Cauldron versus Doug Ramesses from Zootopia. Let's start with LeFou versus Randall. This to me seems like an interesting battle because they're both sidekicks, but the big difference between the two of them, or a big difference in their approach to being a sidekick, is ambition. Randall has ambition. Randall wants to be on top. LeFou is in love with Gaston and just wants to do whatever and just, I think that LeFou's probably our only minion on here who is motivated by that he is just straight up in love with him. Randall's, more of a villain. Thoughts?
Can I say something as a huge fan of Beauty and the Beast?
Mm-hmm.
Animated version only. I think you could remove LeFou from that movie and lose nothing plot-wise. It is a really fun character. I love the song. I don't think he's consequential to the plot. I'm sure glad he's there.
He has that great song.
And the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland is going, hey, you stole my look.
Exactly.
That's kind of,
yeah. They are.
Here's a story, since I'm old and I tell stories. When I was down at the Adventurers Club, they were going to have a Man of the Year for Michael Eisner in New York, at the Waldorf Astoria Ballroom. And the movie had just come out, and they were going to bring 4 of us up to act with Jerry Orbach and Paige O'Hara and do a musical presentation. They were going to have a full orchestra, some dancers. Paula Pell from Saturday Night Live was she was the Mrs. Potts surrogate. I was the Cogsworth LeFou surrogate. And then they did a preview with Lea Salonga of Aladdin. And one of the cast members got to sing Part of Your World before anybody saw it. And it was that night when Dick Ebersol was in the audience and he was talking to Michael Eisner. We were all backstage and Jerry Orbach, I got to be our guest with Jerry Orbach. And Dick Ebersol said, this would be a great Broadway musical. And I was standing right there and I went, that must have been the night that
Look at that.
Went,
wow.
You watched that tree get planted.
It was so cool to see that happen. And I'm very, I love that film. I think that film just did such great stuff. And that role is a really good one.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think
however,
plot wise, you're right that he doesn't do a ton for the plot.
Right.
Except enable. He enables Gaston's, that entire song, Gaston, is him puffing up a dude whose ego is already puffed up and puffing him up beyond, when he's in a sad moment. I could argue that it did move the plot forward because Gaston could have stopped right there and just wallowed in his misery. He even says at the beginning of that song, nothing helps. And then LeFou builds him back up, makes him back into this cocky monster that he winds up being for the rest of the movie. I don't know. I can't imagine eliminating LeFou right now for Randall. Randall is fun. Randall's a good villain, but
and important to this plot.
He is important.
Is both physically and mentally active in the movie and the sequel, Monsters University, where you get the great, where you
learn that he was a nerdy kid.
Because he took his glasses off, which is such a great.
It's a great design. Yeah. It's a great performance.
But guys, it's LeFou. It is one of the quintessential Disney villain sidekicks.
That's where I'm thinking. I mean, does what a sidekick is supposed to do.
Yeah.
He's there. He's loyal. He supports the villain's plan. He takes part in it, even though it gets really scary.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I think LeFou has to at least, If we can get Flotsam and Jetsam out of the round of 32 just on the strength of the movie alone, then we can definitely get LeFou out of the round of 32.
They didn't have
What
to
are your
face
thoughts,
off against
Hal?
Randall. That's the
What's that?
problem. They didn't have to face off against Randall.
Randall's a lot of fun.
Superior character.
No, but they faced off against Molt, who I think is a superior character.
Thank you for remembering me.
Oh, you're welcome, Molt.
The problem was nobody remembers my movie.
Molt's New Groove.
I wish they did. If they didn't have that land at Disney, which is kaput now,
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
I'm going to fade away like my character from Inside Out. I'm going to be gone.
Oh,
But I'll be in the corner. I don't want to bother anybody.
Oh, way to make it sad.
You're doing great work.
I say LeFou has to go through.
I would go with Randall. You cast the deciding vote, Darin. I will go along. We will each go along with whatever you choose.
Oh.
Putting you on.
Do you want to go with the iconic Disney villain Sidekick?
My thing is I'm going to go with LeFou because I think he ticks all the boxes. And
LeFou
Randall
is.
seems more like a main adversary in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm sorry.
You know
to the
what?
people of the world, they're going to go, we didn't forgive you for saying the truth about bran muffins, which is proven and it's science. But,
That is science.
It's science.
Come on.
And you do bring up a great point. I do think Randall is more the main villain.
Yeah.
He's not a sidekick.
Yeah.
He's a climber who turns out to be the ultimate villain of the thing. The other guy's just the corporate boss.
Well, he's sort of behind the whole thing, but yes, I agree. I think that is a well-made argument.
Okay.
That I accept, other than it's Beauty and the Beast. There's gotta
LeFou
be a
is
little more
great.
to it. He is great. I love LeFou. I was just saying, you could have had that song. That could have been Women at the Bar or the Barkeep. Like that one, outside of that, if that one song were not in the film, and I understand that we're taking away his major moment, he does nothing else.
There is a terrible moment in the musical where they needed to get from point A to point B, and it's just LeFou going, la, la, la. And then Belle goes, hey, LeFou, have you seen Gaston? I think he's in the woods. La, la, la. That's the end of the scene.
Yeah. It's just because they
what
needed
they
a
wrote.
curtain to close so that
Right.
something else could happen.
That's what they wrote. It's like 10 writers went, what'll he do? La, la, lee? La, la, lo? No. We can't go there. Maybe she'll ask him a question. How are you today? No, we don't have the time. It's like it's a rich character that we could have had more from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they went, he's over there. that I'll never forgive you.
Yeah. Fill him out a little,
Yeah.
I only wish that they had him on the fly system, and as soon as he said that, just taken off and flown out of
inexplicably. And then the rest of the play, you're like, guys, does anyone else know that LeFou can fly? I don't understand.
Is it LeFou turn off the dark? What is
Oh, I know I've told this story on the show before about when I saw Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, right? I went to go see it. I sat in the back row with my roommate and friend, Katie. She was sitting next to me. And there was a scene where Arachne and Peter Parker, like she raises him up and they're like doing this floaty, spinny dance together. And we noticed that their floaty spinning started to get a little faster and they got a little closer together. And I feel on my knee this like smack, like, oh, here it comes. And then of course the two of them just went and like their cables just twirled up. The house lights came on and we sat there for about 20 minutes while Spider-Man and Arachne just dangled from a rope on the ceiling, which felt like going to a hockey game and getting to see a fight. Like that's what you want. If you went to see Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, you wanted to see some of the crazy. And I'm glad nobody got hurt. It was just two people. We did not go to see anyone get hurt, but we loved going and seeing the cables get tied up and somebody just have to dangle there for a few minutes, like waving at the audience and cracking jokes.
Come for the injury-free malfunctions. Stay for the musical.
That's what the poster said.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's move now to this. I don't think is going to be a tough battle. The battle that it is setting up is, I think, going to be a tough battle. We have, one of the iconic, Disney, sidekicks. We have Smee versus Fidget from The Great Mouse Detective, who is, Ratigan's nasty little bat sidekick. who has a peg leg, and the idea of a flying character with a peg leg is very funny to me.
It's a fun performance.
Yeah.
It's a very unique voice. It's a fun performance.
Yeah.
Smee, you want your picture with Smee when you're walking around the park.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Smee is a classic.
Think of a box as a Disney villain sidekick that he does not check.
Mm-hmm.
An enabler. He's a caretaker. He's way better at his job than Captain Hook is at his. Mm-hmm. Captain Hook would not be Captain Hook without him.
Yeah.
The only thing he doesn't have is evil. There's not an evil bone in his body. Like, he won't kill the crocodile. He just shoos him away.
And he's one of the only people that Captain Hook really listens to.
Yes.
Probably the only. And a wonderful performance, a great look.
Oh, so good.
Totally lovable. That's he's going to be a tough one up there. He's
definitely, and a simple look too.
Yep.
It's not fussy. It's just, he's got like bushy white hair, red nose, striped shirt. Like he's just got like, he's not embellished in too many ways. He's just like shaped like a dopey, lackey. He's visually perfect. He's vocally perfect, and everything that he does is on brand for a sidekick.
From how he's dressed, he looks like a guy who was in his 40s, but went to the original Woodstock at that age. And then now we've seen him 20 to 30 years later, and this is who he's become, just hanging out in San Fran. Just go why? He's in that bookstore all day. He must have money. I don't think he has a home, right?
Is he a tech bro? Like, how did he get the money?
No, yeah. Did he was he an early investor in Apple?
There are sections of San Francisco that are entirely populated by Smees, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's going to be the next app name. It's going to be Smee. Did you download Smee?
But there's a dash over one of the E's.
Oh. Mm-hmm. You made it.
Look, Fidget's funny. Fidget's great. Fidget does have that, like you mentioned, that crazy sort of stilted, doesn't use all of his articles voice, which I love. But yeah, also plunges to his death. Like he has a rough ending.
Yeah.
He's eaten first, the cat, goes after him, and he does that thing. He's sort of like Froggy, isn't he?
Yeah.
That voice he's doing. It's a unique performance, but it cannot.
It's not Smee. It's not Smee. Oh. All right, let's go now to Creeper from the Black Cauldron versus Doug. For those who don't remember, Creeper in the Black Cauldron is pretty similar to Fidget. He's a little grumpy little goblin with a frequently lazy eye who gets beat up. He's the second in command, but gets beaten up not only by his first in command, the main villain, but also from all of the other minions. They're like, this guy is second in command, but he's tiny, so they, pick on him too. Versus Doug from Zootopia, who is the kind of slacker, stonery, but super terrifyingly adept at his job, maker of the poison that turns the animals wild. So he not only mixes it, but he snipers it. He's a fun juxtaposition, I think, of his hands are doing something very technical and terrifying, but his voice is kind of doing this just slow, lazy stoner thing. What do you guys think?
Doug is very memorable. The movie is wonderful.
Yes.
Black Cauldron was a big misfire, sadly. Yeah. It was ambitious and it was almost like a D&D type, style film. Let's explore that era. And it just didn't work for some reason or another.
Yeah.
But Doug is pretty scary.
Yeah. Doug is a real villain, like in his coldness.
Yeah.
He's completely without emotion.
I think that Zootopia is one of the best movies Disney's made in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And I think that because it's not a musical, and because it almost feels like it should have been made by Pixar. And I know at that point, Lasseter was sort of a voice in the Disney animation department, and they were sort of taking their cue. They'd already acquired and integrated Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
But it's super woke. It has a really strong, a really great and strong message behind it. All the performances are fantastic. The animation is great. There's just not a misstep in the whole thing. And it sad to me how lost it feels in the shuffle of other movies. Like Frozen's very good. I like Frozen. I liked Frozen 2. Fine. Mm-hmm. I really like the Wreck-It Ralph movies, but I think Zootopia is sort of like the crown jewel that nobody talks about.
Yeah, I can see that. Do you think it's because it's not a musical? Because it feels like a Pixar movie? Like it's like sort of, it doesn't know who its parents are? Like it's a Disney movie that's not a musical, and it's a Pixar movie that's not Pixar?
I think it's a hard movie to market to families. I think I don't think it was that they didn't know what they had. I think that you don't know what, I know going into it, I had no idea what movie I was about to watch, or that it was going to be not heavy, but dense as it was emotionally. And I think that made it a little bit harder to market, especially in the absence of, here's a killer song that kids are going to sing. You can't have a Zootopia sing along. The jokes work for kids, but there's a lot of stuff. It's a family animated movie that is made for, it feels like it's made for adults. It's like an adult movie hidden in a family movie. And that I think is a hard sell. It did well. It wasn't a flop. It's just not talked about.
But Soul is an adult movie.
I've not seen Soul yet. I'm excited. Yeah, I know. I haven't sat down and watched a movie in so long.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with animation for adults.
No.
I mean, if you look at the early stuff for Disney, there is a sophistication level and a scary level that, you know, it's not like, oh, we're going to worry about that. They were going for some tough stories sometimes. Sometimes, you know, they made some wrong choices, as we may talk about later in this episode.
Yep.
Well, now, like when I was a kid, I didn't like Fantasia. Fantasia was the boring one. But as I've gotten older, like Fantasia is stunningly beautiful, and the music is perfect, and the way that like they dealt with all of the music and they even put the intermission in there, and it felt like I can imagine going to see that in a movie theater. It would feel like a night at the symphony, because here comes the person who steps forward and tells you about the piece you're about to hear, and then you hear this piece with visual accompaniment. So Disney always, I think, does a great job of having something for the adults.
And I am old enough to have seen it in a movie theater. I may have been a re-release.
40. I was going to
say but in a re-release.
45, yeah.
It was in a big movie theater in Florida. Right, you know, when I was younger, and my mom took us to it, and we were blown away by it. I mean, at Night on Bald Mountain, I could not get enough of. I loved that.
Oh, yeah. I was tempted to add the Minions from Night on Bald Mountain to this, but they don't really... There's not really much of a story there, but God, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, that was, I mean, growing up, you looked forward. I think it was every 7 years they would release the films. It wasn't like,
right. That was the
vault. So you'd see it in the movie theater. I remember going to see, because I think my first Disney film was The Jungle Book. And then I just fell in love in the movie theater. And then, you know, they re-released Snow White soon after that. I seem to remember, and seeing that and falling in love with it. And then just trying to see everything in the movie theater. Which is sad now.
Guys, I miss movie theaters.
I miss movie theaters.
Go to the drive-in. Any drive-in you can. I love me some drive-ins. They have them all over LA now. I'm going to see Rent tonight at the drive-in.
Oh.
The movie musical, yeah.
Oh.
They were making that because Anthony Rapp was our Seymour on the Little Shop tour.
Oh, really?
While we were on tour in San Francisco,
he's a perfect Seymour.
Oh, he was great.
I'm such a fan of that dude.
No, I covered Mushnick in that production. And then I took over. I was like, the first year I covered Lenny Walpe, this wonderful Broadway guy, was Lenny, who has a voice I always do for auditions. Lenny was great. I worked with him on a lot of shows. You'd know him if you saw him. He did TV and everything. And Anthony was fabulous. And the second year I took over, it was a great production with a Henson, a 5-ton Henson plant.
Oh my God.
It was super cool. I remember they were doing that, and the cast would come, we'd have dinner with them, and Anthony would go off to shoot scenes and then do the show at night. And it's just, I miss this. I know we're getting off track, but I miss that we can do this, going to theaters, celebrating live performance. I think it's part of who the three of us are.
Absolutely.
It made us who we are, and it's so important. Enough of that. I'll get off.
It'll be back.
You're making everybody sad. Like with the time they kicked me out. They kicked me out. No one was sad.
Sheriff, we're not sad about that, Sheriff.
I was being quiet in the corner, but I agree with the sheriff. You do a very good job with law enforcement, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, there's a great big bowl of peanut M&Ms back there. If you guys want to just start eating those.
Yeah, you won't hear a peep.
Okay, great.
Good. I said only brown ones in my contract.
Just eat the brown ones. Oh, no. You know.
Okay.
You know, I'm just going to shut this door. I'm just going to shut this little door right here.
Sure.
How can we still hear him through the tiny door?
I'm being quiet, did you notice?
Yes, Molt, we hear you being quiet.
Fantastic. Good ears.
All right, we're moving to the final battle in the lackeys division,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a 2-on-2. We're playing doubles this time. We have Pain and Panic from Hercules versus Horace and Jasper from 101 Dalmatians. This is a tough one because both of these are icons. You've got the classic animated versions of 101 Dalmatians, plus you have the live action versions. These characters have lived in two different media, who was it that was in that? It was Mr. Weasley and House MD were the two.
Hugh Laurie, yeah.
Yeah. And Pain and Panic, obviously, the great Matt Frewer and
Bobcat Goldthwait. Thank you very much. It was Pain. Yeah, it was a perfect choice for it.
Oh, they're so good.
They have some great lines. They're really funny, and they do advance the plot.
Yeah.
And they're very well written. Horace and Jasper are pretty, they're pretty despicable.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I mean, they tick the boxes. Yeah. They are moving that plot forward.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah. They're instrumental.
Yeah.
Movie doesn't happen without them.
Mm-hmm.
And J. Pat O'Malley, another one who played, he was the taller one. Is that Horace or Jasper? He was Jasper. Another one in the stable, Colonel Hottie's voice.
Mm-hmm.
What was that great stable of Disney performers?
Oh, yeah. That like real rich, resonant sort of thing. This is tough. This is like modern era iconic sidekick duo versus classic Disney iconic sidekick duo. Hal, what do you think?
I'm a classic guy. I love 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
For no other reason. I mean, if I had to pick the Midnight Bark leading to the Colonel and Sergeant Tibbs, that sequence is so good. And there's such an improvisational feel to what they were doing in the voice work in that movie. For some reason, it makes those characters pop in a more real way for me. And that would give them the edge.
They are more present than Pain and Panic.
Mm-hmm.
Pain and Panic come in little bits and chunks. Horace and Jasper are a big part of that film.
Pain and Panic also have that kind of, they do a little bit of sort of like, they're a little more of a wink to the audience. Like Matt Frewer was famous from being in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids for Disney and being Max Headroom. And and Bob Goldthwait was already famous for obviously a million things.
For being himself.
For being himself.
Or being his persona.
And they would drop in some sort of modern referencey things into that movie. Like I just remember there was a line Bobcat, or he was Pain, right? Yeah. Cause Frewer was Panic. He was the one that was always Panic. And he says, it's a trend, like a few years ago when all the boys were named Jason and all the girls were named Brittany, which is a funny line, but it's Bobcat Goldthwait doing a funny line.
Right.
Horace and Jasper are iconic classic Disney characters that are in that. Yeah. I feel like they have to,
I think it's them.
If you only know Bobcat Goldthwait as the screamy guy from either Hercules or the Police Academy movies, which really helped make him famous, and his stand-up was that for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Get a copy of One Crazy Summer and listen to the commentary track with Savage Steve Holland, and he's on it as well, and it's just him not putting on the voice, and his mind works so fast, and he is so funny. It's just a great forum to hear his mind at work and how fast he is.
He's brilliantly talented comedian.
He's gone on to write and direct a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. But he didn't win this.
Yeah. Went to school with Tom Kenny.
No kidding.
Oh. Well, there you go.
All right. Things. He didn't win this because it's Horace and Jasper.
That's true. We have our final four for this round. The first battle is Horace and Jasper from 101 Dalmatians versus Doug from Zootopia. So we've got Horace and Jasper versus Doug and LeFou versus Smee. Let's start with Horace and Jasper versus Doug.
Horace and Jasper.
Horace and Jasper. Yeah. Doug is great. Doug's a fun character in a excellent movie. It's Horace and Jasper. LeFou versus Smee. I still maintain that LeFou is a great Disney villain sidekick, but Smee is gold standard.
100% agree.
So now we have Smee versus Horace and Jasper. Human sidekicks to iconic classic Disney villains. Two of the best Disney villains, Cruella de Vil and Captain Hook.
I will be in the Smee camp.
I think I'm with you. I think you and I are in that camp together.
Well, it's still, again, who do you want to get a picture with at Disneyland?
Yeah.
Horace and Jasper be like, where are they? What? Who? You know, but you know Smee immediately. You know, unless you're a big Disney fan, you know, you want Horace and Jasper.
Yeah. Like,
Hal is laughing at me and going,
no, I agree with you. I just had this picture of you're at Disneyland and you see a bunch of puppies run by and then you see character Horace and Jasper chasing them.
That would be an amazing job if they had like
bags,
actual Dalmatians and then a couple of animal trainers / character actors whose job it was to just round them up.
So good.
We got stuff for a picture. We got to get these puppies, boy.
Go. Yeah, I agree. It's Mr. Smee. Something feels weird because Horace and Jasper also check a ton of boxes, and they're evil. Which I don't think Mr. Smee is evil, but he's so good.
Yeah,
it's such a good character that kind of overcomes the shortcomings.
Yeah,
he's such a good, complete character.
This was a tough decision. It was. We take none of these lightly.
No, we don't. And we're not taking this lightly either. We're moving on to our final category, and that is cats and dogs down here in the Southwest bracket. Here are our matchups in cats and dogs. We have Lucifer from Cinderella versus Cy and Am from Lady and the Tramp. We have Alpha from Up versus Gideon from Pinocchio. We have Chief from The Fox and the Hound versus Percy from Pocahontas. And we have Roscoe and DeSoto from Oliver and Company versus the hyenas, Ed, Shenzi, and Banzai from The Lion King. Let's start with Lucifer let's start in the cat's corner. Lucifer versus Cy and Am. Cy and Am, super problematic characters.
Yes. And their names were changed for the live action version. Yeah, they're no longer known as Cy and Am.
What are they, Jason and Brittany?
They're now Jason and Brittany. Everybody is Jason and Brittany. That is what's most important.
I'll say this, aside from, I don't want Lucifer to win this because Cy and Am are not really necessarily sidekicks to anyone but each other and very problematic characters. I think Lucifer can win this because Lucifer is a great pet. This category is mostly pets. Yeah. And I think of the pet sidekicks that Disney has in their movies, I think Lucifer is one of the best. If in the human world of that movie, the Tremaine family represents oppression against Cinderella, in the animal version of within that story, Lucifer represents the same things to the mice. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Lucifer is the terrorizing tormentor who is higher up in the pecking order and can just be a jerk to them to be a jerk.
And a great design.
Yeah. Beautiful design.
Yes.
Mean animated face.
Yeah. Just the way he moved in the animation, just really, really wonderful.
Yeah, by the way, an awesome character.
Just to put a footnote on this, the live action version of Lady and the Tramp, the characters are changed to Devin and Rex, and the number is changed from the Siamese Cat song to a jazz number called What a Shame. It's very good. Great. The live action is very, very good.
My dad has 2 Devin Rexes at home, so I have to now see that. They are the ugliest cats, but the smartest and the sweetest, which I kind of love about them.
Couple Rex cats.
Yeah. All right, so this is definitely Lucifer coming out of that corner, yes?
Yes.
We can jump over now to, let's do Chief from Fox and the Hound versus Percy from Pocahontas.
I have no prejudices in this one. I have no dog in this fight. Now, who voiced Chief? Let me just ask from a distance. I'm in the other room with the book.
I hear you over there. I was really hoping that those peanut M&Ms would just remain in your mouth and.
Oh, they're gone. They've been gone.
The whole bowl?
Yeah.
Not just the brown ones?
No.
You were hungry. Did you find out about Chief?
Yeah. Who did his voice then?
I'm pretty sure it was the same person that did the Sheriff of Nottingham's voice. Is that true?
Gonna kick him out like you kicked me to the curb there, Mark Gagliardi?
I don't, it's so weird to hear that voice say my name.
That's my entire job.
Yeah.
It's so weird to hear that voice.
God. Yeah.
Say my name.
What do you guys think?
I think this
is a hard one because they're, the Fox and the Hound is, I loved it when it was out, but I can't remember a minute of it.
Well, it's tough and it's sad. And I'll say this. I'll say that, Percy from Pocahontas is 100% in the mold of Lucifer from Cinderella.
Yes.
Chief is, while he is a sidekick because he's the hunter's dog, that makes him a sidekick, but he really is, he's a richer character. He's a father figure to Copper in the movie. It's him breaking his leg that leads Copper to want to go against Todd. It's the fact that by the end of the movie, Chief has sort of made his peace with the fact that Todd and Copper are friends. Like, he's less a sidekick and more just a character, just like an interesting character from a novel. Whereas Percy is this, foofy little fastidious pug. I don't think either one of them is going to beat Lucifer in this battle.
Because they're, Chief forwards the plot.
He does definitely forward the plot. Percy is decoration.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Percy is decoration and something for Wiggins to do.
Yeah.
Is to clean Percy.
Yeah. We're going to go with Chief on this.
I think Chief is I think Chief's a great choice.
It's a bizarre bracket.
It is a bizarre, well, it's, why? Because all the characters are so different. It's just that they're all dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Sure.
You throw a wolf in there, I would have won.
But I'll put Chief in there.
I think Chief.
All right. So let's move now to Alpha from Up versus Gideon from Pinocchio. Gideon sort of established this genre of character. Because Pinocchio was the second movie that came out, and Snow White only had the huntsman as a henchman. Gideon is Foulfellow's little cat friend who is silent, though originally, what was it? Was it Mel Blanc?
Mel Blanc was supposed to be his voice and did the hiccups. So the hiccups that you hear are Mel Blanc.
But he set the tone for a doofy, funny little sidekick to a villain that's, also a bad guy.
Yeah, very Harpo Marx-like in many ways.
Important to the plot.
Important to the plot. You do want to run over in Disney and get your picture with Gideon?
He's one of the great, as far as walk around characters. Gideon's one of the really fun ones.
Yeah.
I think Alpha is a blast. Do you guys remember Alpha from Up?
With the voice changing.
He had the voice changer, but his voice changer was really high. So he's this terrifying looking Doberman who says everything that a villain says, but he says it in this super high pitched voice because his voice modulator's broken.
Yeah.
which is such a great henchman. He really is more like a lieutenant. Like, he could have been in the lieutenant category.
Yeah.
He is a soldier. He is a hunting soldier who does his job, and he takes no lip from those who are under him in command. But he does it with this high-pitched voice.
So good. Played by Timothy Spall, the great Timothy Spall.
Yeah. Oh, great film. It's a tough one, but if you're looking for, who checks the boxes, it's Gideon, who's
I think
set the mold in many ways.
Gideon.
All right. And then finally in this category, we've got Roscoe and DeSoto from Oliver and Company, who are henchmen to the dogs of Bill Sykes. Again, this is another one that has a human world and an animal world. And Roscoe and DeSoto, Roscoe is the smarter of the two. DeSoto is just the bruiser, tough guys in a lesser known movie, but cool characters. But unfortunately for them, they're battling against Jim Cummings and Cheech and Whoopi as the three hyenas from The Lion King.
Such strong characters.
Who are, strong and individual on their own. Like they have their own personalities, but they work for Scar so well. Like, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think?
You know, I don't know if we're ever going to talk about Oliver and Company on this podcast again.
Okay.
So I just want to say, I'm not advocating for them. I think it's Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed all the way. Can you imagine if Oliver and Company came out the year before The Little Mermaid? The year before,
Was that,
this
that's
was the
it?
return of the Disney musical. It came out in 1988, and 1989 was The Little Mermaid. Can you imagine if The Little Mermaid had come out first? So you all of a sudden, you inspire this belief that Disney animated films are back and that this is a throwback to Snow White and Cinderella and all the musicals we loved and the reemergence of the Disney princess. And then you follow it up with Billy Joel playing the Artful Dodger in a new musical version of Oliver, because the musical Oliver, the beloved musical Oliver, is not current enough and doesn't have enough dogs and cats in it.
It feels like The Little Mermaid is when Disney finally said, hey, maybe we should start doing 24 drawings per second instead of like 6. Like you watch The Rescuers and it looks like you're flipping through your own flip book.
Yeah.
If you watch Robin Hood, you'll see the animation repeat when they're running.
Oh, yeah.
Over and over again.
Yeah, but at least it's smooth. The Rescuers looks like the person who's running the projector at 6 frames per second is on Quaaludes.
Yeah. By the way, this is not casting aspersions on Oliver and Company as much as I wonder if it would have benefited from coming after. Because people who like it.
Sure.
But I didn't go see it. I was the right age to have gone to see it. And I love Billy Joel. Was not into it. Had 2 things I liked, Disney and Billy Joel, and that wasn't enough. I said, this is a hard pass for 11-year-old Hal. Sorry.
All right. So, we have our final 4 in this one. Battle number 1. We're going to go Lucifer versus Chief in our first battle in this.
You're going to throw me out again, aren't you? I feel it coming a mile off. You just want me hanging out with the bug in the back.
There's plenty of room. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. And look, I'm only one of 3 here choosing, but I got to say, Chief, I might need to send you back with the sheriff and Molt. What do you guys think?
Okay, I'll be going down there. Hey, wait, I'm a totally different character. What's this dog doing here?
You guys, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about.
I think we will. I'll go stand by the giant, terrifying bug.
I gotta get a camera to capture this moment. It's too precious.
All right. So is it Lucifer? Yeah.
It's Lucifer.
Yes.
It's Lucifer. And then with much respect to, the originator of the entire category in Hyenas versus Gideon, I think that the Hyenas have to win, in my opinion. Yeah.
Category. Yep.
Boo.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. So we have 2 battles left. We have 4 characters and 2 battles left. We have Kronk versus the Hyenas. The 3 battles left if we count the Super Bowl we're doing at the end.
Wait a minute. Lucifer and the Hyenas don't face off against one another?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Lucifer and the Hyenas. I forgot to do one.
So I throw Lucifer out?
I skipped a step. My bad. I was off by 1 because I wrote Hyenas instead of just circling it. And then I was looking.
Sure.
You know what? You don't need my thing. Do you think it's Lucifer or the Hyenas?
I'd say the Hyenas. What are thoughts? I mean,
I'm team Hyenas as well. Lucifer is iconic, does not benefit from voice performances, which we talked about.
They're richer characters. I mean, he does a lot without saying anything.
Right.
Lucifer does a lot, but those 3 characters they're such a big part of that film.
Yeah.
You could take Lucifer out and you wouldn't miss much. Like the Hyenas are such a huge part of Lion King.
Yeah, I think the Hyenas win, and now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, the winners of all 4 brackets will face off, and we will answer once and for all.
Best Disney villain sidekick.
Ooh.
That isn't me.
Ooh.
Right back.
Say it again.
Welcome back to Fireside Chat on KMAX. With me in studio to take your calls is the dopest duo on the West Coast, Oliver Wong and Morgan Rhodes. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I'm looking for a music podcast that's insightful and thoughtful, but also helps me discover artists and albums that I've never heard of.
Yeah, man. Sounds like you need to listen to Heat Rocks. Every week, myself, and I'm Morgan Rhodes, and my co-host here, Oliver Wong, talk to influential guests about a canonical album that has changed their lives.
Guests like Moby, Open Mike Eagle, talk about albums by Prince, Joni Mitchell, and so much more.
Yo, what's that show called again?
Heat Rocks, deep dives into hot records.
Every Thursday on Maximum Fun.
Hey, I'm Janet Varney, host of the JV Club podcast. High school. Was it a time of adventure, romance, and discovery?
Class of 95! We did it!
Or a time of angst, disappointment, and confusion?
We're all tied together by 4 years of trauma at this place, but enjoy adulthood, I guess.
The truth is, it was both. So join me on the JV Club podcast, where I invite some great friends like Kristen Bell, Angela Kinsey, Oscar Nunez, Neil Patrick Harris, and Keegan-Michael Key to talk about high school, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
My teenage mood swings are getting harder to manage.
The JV Club. Find it on Maximum Fun.
And we're back. All right, fellas, it's time for our final. We've got 3 matches left. We're into on the day that the NFL is actually in there. We're at the same point right now that the NFC and the AFC are having their championships to determine the Super Bowl. We are having our championships to determine our Super Bowl. And the first championship match is on the west side. North, we have Kronk, and south, we have the Hyenas. Kronk versus Hyenas. Go.
I'm Team Kronk.
Yeah, I'm Team Kronk too.
Kronk it is.
I feel like he's so fun. The Hyenas are great, but Team Kronk wins. And on the other side, on the east, that we took the break maybe 10 seconds before the end of the episode.
Well, that just means we can do so much more
right?
improvisation.
That's right.
The audience will love. You were tired of the Muffin episode. Oh, boy.
Remember me? I'm back for the Muffin episode, boy.
You go sit with Molt.
Come on over.
Oh, look at this. It's a muffin.
Oh, no. Oh, no. The Sheriff of Nottingham just ate a muffin.
Well, that was
a sentient muffin.
I was chief doing that. Can't you tell the difference, Bart Gagliardi?
I'm terribly sorry. All right. Now we have, in our battle in the East, we have Iago versus Smee. Oh. I'm gonna throw out a thought here.
Oof.
Because these are 2 very evenly matched, classic, iconic Disney villain sidekicks. I think the absence of malice takes Smee down a notch, perhaps enough to put Iago over the edge in this one, because Iago is a nasty bird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That truly is villainous. Yeah. Smee is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
He's on the wrong side, but he's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Iago is more of a partner, too. He's a partner villain. He's got a capable villain he's working with. He doesn't have to coddle. He's really doing bidding. He's really doing Sidekick's work.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to Smee, who keeps everything running, including Captain Hook himself.
Smee is the absolute best enabler.
Yeah.
By making Captain Hook think he is the one that is actually in charge and doing things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the fact that Iago is just mean, which I kind of want my sidekick to be a little mean.
Yeah.
While not being too scary.
Yeah.
We can appeal to a lot of audiences.
Mm-hmm.
In that wonderful Disney way that we all cherish and love.
The beloved character.
Yeah.
Like truly a beloved character.
Yeah. So are we taking Iago over Smee?
Yeah.
Yes. That is a move I didn't think would happen. And I
didn't either.
But it is. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And again, try to find that documentary about Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Because that character moved, who is, again, a villainous, evil malcontent. He did something ultimately that brought good to this world.
Yeah. To the real world.
Yeah. To the real world.
Yeah.
Who would have thought
Oh no, he's here now too. Iago's here. We're just pimping out Darin DePaul to do. Look, it's rare that we get such a great voice master in here, so we are going to pimp him out for.
You guys are equal. I mean, I will talk about how much I love your work. I love this podcast. Seeing you on stage and hearing this podcast, you guys should be doing everything.
Oh, you're the best.
Well, you guys know acting. You have such a love of this. This is why this discussion was so special to me. It's like, you know what goes into this. So if given the chance, you would put your heart and soul and everything, up in your brain and in your heart into a character because it matters. You know that some little kid might get that toy or someone might be moved by that performance. It's not just a sidekick.
Yeah.
It means something. And I know that you guys bring that out in what you do. I'm terrible. I'm a big old mush, but I love this show so much.
Darin, that's so sweet.
So sweet.
It's true. I mean, sorry.
And it means a lot coming from you.
I'm just mouth stupid. That's all I am.
That's on your business card.
Yeah.
Darin DePaul, mouth stupid.
I love the mouth stupids.
Equity and SAG.
All right. So our final battle, the Super Bowl of Disney villain sidekicks. This is tough. Is Kronk versus Iago.
Now, I will admit to coming into this, I was like, Kronk takes it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we go back to the Muffin episode. You give me these thoughts that are like a villainous sidekick. Kronk wasn't particularly villainous. Great written character, very rich character, wonderful performance. Iago's on the bad team.
Yeah.
And yet in real life did some good.
This character did good. This is tough because Kronk is a great character.
Yeah.
I would say Kronk is a better character than Iago is. Iago is arguably a better sidekick than Kronk is.
Yeah.
Let's look at all the factors that we talked about at the beginning.
Okay.
You've got some villainy. You've got the villainy angle versus the good person who is just working for a bad person.
Right. Impact on the story.
Impact on the story. Both of them have that in great quantities.
If you were at Disneyland, would you run to get a picture with Kronk or Iago?
Iago. Are they?
Iago.
When you said that, I literally thought, can I go take a picture with Iago when I go back to the park? Is he out there available?
And also, as far as with Iago, I think that with all the other things, they're so evenly matched. I think that we can take into account the production that they're from. And I think Aladdin is a better and more iconic movie than The Emperor's New Groove is. Kronk makes that movie. Kronk elevates that movie.
I'll tell you what, I think I would take Smee. This may be easily figured out through the transitive property. I would take Smee over Kronk.
Interesting.
In that they're both not bad guys who are working for bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
So if Iago beats Smee, then Iago must also beat Kronk.
Yeah. I think that we're leaning toward, it sounds like we're all leaning towards Iago as the ultimate victor of this battle, with Kronk a very, very tight second.
Well, all of these characters are so rich and so lovely. The ones that have made it to the final brackets, these are ingrained in our brains.
Exactly.
They're so much a part of our lives. Again, like Hal said, we can't wait to get back to Disney to have that joy and discover who might be out that day.
Right. That's always the fun. That's the fun game. They have a Ratigan comes out every once in a while at Disneyland in California.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. Ratigan comes out sometimes.
I did Pluto, King Louis.
You mean you were friends with?
Yes. I was very good friends with, Winnie the Pooh and Tweedledum and Tweedledee and Prince John. Cause I fought very hard to be friends with Prince John because I loved that.
That's so good.
That was my little teenage Darin going.
Unfortunately, Prince John would not let you do his laugh while you were being princess.
When I was in Pluto, cause friends of Pluto, the tongue comes out of the mouth when it was, and people be like, oh, Pluto, that's rude. That's where you saw. Roll it back up. and you're out in the middle of the park and sometimes going, I can't see any.
Oh, no.
Huge pause. Kids, don't listen to this. Pretend I'm Iago and I'm the sidekick ruining everything.
Well, it sounds
That's
like...
where this was headed. We were going to destroy childhood dreams.
Hal, will you bring us home?
People of the world, the rich history of Disney. We are not finished plumbing its depths. We've been there before. We'll go back again, and twice on Sundays, because we record 2 episodes on Sundays a lot of the time. In the world of villains, which we've already settled, there are great sidekicks, fantastic characters. Watch all of the films we've discussed and more. But know in your heart that the greatest sidekick of all is a little red bird with purple/blue highlights on his feathers. Assisting the nefarious Jafar, your best Disney villain sidekick is Iago, asked and answered.
Darin DePaul, thank you for being with us. Where can people find you? What do you want people to know?
Oh, I love this show. I want them to know that.
This show loves you, my friend.
I'm Darin DePaul on Twitter and Instagram and everything. And I got some really cool projects coming up, and we continue to do some really cool things. Overwatch is still doing stuff. We just had J. Jonah Jameson came back and Spider-Man.
I keep thinking that you've got great things, but you always work for companies that won't let you tell us what the great things you're working on are.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm working on I can't tell you about that. Oh, there's also I can't tell you about that.
There's a couple big ones. That I can't wait to go, oh, this is happening.
Dude, that's so cool.
I'm very, very lucky. And again, I go back to showing up in LA and the second day walking into Meltdown Comics and running into Hal Lublin, who didn't know me from Adam, but gave me a big smile and said, hi, I'm Hal. And it was as if LA was welcoming me. Oh. And then you guys at Thrilling Adventure Hour made me feel that was a second home when I would come and watch that show. It was everything I love about theater. And when this podcast started from, do you put ketchup on a hot dog? I listened for every episode.
And man.
It so much. So thank all of you and the people of the world, because, listening to Kate McManus on the other episode, the mailbag, I'm like, oh, I get to hear Kate. I'm one of you guys. I love this show, and I'm so thrilled that I got to be part of it.
Well, I want to say
so much.
I have to take issue with you because you say you're lucky, but only if luck is opportunity meeting preparedness, because you are prepared, and in addition to how nice you are, which anybody who's met you or has heard you on here will know, you are so talented that early on, Darin and I did a workshop together. And now when I do workshops for Disney, I do workshops, Darin is the person that the casting director who's running it will refer to as one of the greats, because you are fantastic, and you deserve not only all the success you have, but many, many more successes, which we will not get to know about until those.
Thank you.
Until they're released.
I will let you know. And I have to do that because I am the voice dandy of Hollywood.
That's right.
Oh, I have a pocket handkerchief. I've got my tie. I've got everything. We're in lockdown. But I was like, I dress up. This is what I do.
I love it.
Thank you, guys. I love you. I adore you.
We love you, and we thank you so much, Darin. This topic is closed, but there are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter, or
you can email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com. I do check it. Also, go to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus for putting together a fantastic reference sheet for us. Thank you also to graphic designer Uri Kelman and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world, for giving us a chance to sit down with the great Darin DePaul and talk about something that clearly we are all passionate about. You give us an opportunity to do this every week. We do not take that lightly, and we thank you, thank you, thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin, and don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
You sure do drive a hard bargain.
Love it.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture. Artist owned.
Audience supported.